Certain monotheistic strains of Greek philosophy emphasize that God is perfect. Most Christians and Christian theologians find this idea appropriate. The question is not whether God is or is not perfect. The question is how perfection is to be understood. For some, such a consideration seems nearly foolish. My hope is that you will find what follows to be helpful. The standard concept that surfaced with the Greek philosophers was that a perfect being could not experience change on any level. The reasoning was, if they changed for the better, they were not perfect before they changed. And if they changed for the worse, they are not perfect after they change. So change is out, according to them. A perfect being cannot change, and for most people this sounds quite convincing. However, there are ways of understanding perfection that require some measure of change. As an illustration, we might consider a clock. A clock that does not change is only right twice a day. A clock that does not change is not a perfect clock. Some measure of change is appropriate for a perfect clock. Of course, a clock that changes inappropriately, too fast or too slow, is not a perfect clock. So, let me emphasize that perfection does not necessitate changelessness, but rather appropriate change. Another example involves a personal, not merely mechanical, response. If a room full of people who were joking and laughing and having a jovial time had a friend enter the room and announce with great grief that their husband had just been killed in a horrible accident, having no changed emotional reaction would not be a sign of perfection. Perfection would involve an appropriate change of emotional and personal response. Attempting to develop a theological perspective through the Greek view of perfection creates problems. It is even more difficult to develop a biblical view of God from this Greek view. According to Scripture, God, perfect in his moral responses, changes in an appropriate manner and measure. He, in his perfection, will not change his loving moral character. We need not swing in neither the extreme of declaring that God cannot change in any manner or measure, nor the extreme fear that God will change in an inappropriate manner or measure. We trust that even concerning change, God is perfect.